again. So when you take the pensions away, then you have two legs that are left, which are our savings and our social security. But then when our social security is diminishing, what do you have left? It's just your savings. So with your savings, what the fuck? We don't have savings.
What's up, Yang Gang? You're joining us for another Broke Folk Vote podcast, and we're here with a very special guest today. We're here with David Kim. And David, so from what I understand, you're running out in LA, correct?
Correct. I am running for Congress here in California's 34th Congressional District. In Los Angeles, it covers downtown Los Angeles, Koreatown, Eagle Rock, Highland Park, Little Tokyo, Glassell Park, just all the surrounding neighborhoods.
And who are you running against?
I'm running against Jimmy Gomez. He's an incumbent. He's been in office for about 3 years now. In regards to what he's done the past 3 years, I don't remember because maybe it's been nothing. But I mean, just to kind of give you a little snapshot of our district, Russell, our district is the 10th poorest in the nation. And having said that, in some parts of our district, the per capita income is $12,000, $15,000. We have 7,000 who are without any homes. They're homeless, living on Skid Row. We have 60,000 that are unhoused in LA County. And so the reason isn't just an housing issue, it's also a systemic issue in so many different areas. But then, I mean, coupled with that, there's a lot of housing issues as well. And so at this point, with the local and state levels not being able to solve this homelessness crisis that we have, and this economic distress and financial distress that we have now worsened by COVID-19, we really need somebody at the federal level to be stepping in. But the congressman for this district hasn't done anything in regards to that, of saving our district or helping the people. And so that's why I'm running, just to really have non-career politicians run for office, where people like myself are from the communities, where we work on the grounds up, where we're organizing and helping the community from ground up. And so we need to elect those types of people into office.
And that's you touched on something that's very near and dear to our hearts, and that's the homeless issue. And that's something that we saw a great deal of in Portland when we were visiting there for an Andrew Yang rally. We've seen it in so many other places that we've been to along our journey, and we've actually experienced homelessness. And a lot of times, this is what I try to tell people. I try to tell people that homeless people most of the time don't want to be homeless. They're homeless whether some extenuating circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's only been heightened by the fact that as GDP continues to rise, poor people are just getting poorer. GDP is not affecting us down here on the ground level. The ones of us who are busting our butts, working 2 jobs just to try to make ends meet. And, for out there where you are, it's even more of an issue because the cost of living, number one, is so much. So how do you help those people? So you said that he hasn't done anything. What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I'm glad that you also recognize the need, because I mean, I can't stress it even more, but we've been in a time and period where we are in a 30+ income disparity period, where the gap just continues to widen and widen, and our politicians aren't doing anything about it, to the point where we can easily end up being like those Hollywood dystopian movies where masses of people don't have anything to eat, but yet the few at the top are controlling everything. And honestly, we've become like what Marianne Williamson says a lot, we've become an aristocratic oligarchy where no longer are we in a democratic system where it's for all of the people, but it's actually for a select few at the top. And so if you actually look at the top 1% and what they made 30 years ago as opposed to now, the tables have changed. While I believe it's like the top 10%, their total income made up 11% of the total economy. Now that makes up more than 20%. And so when you look at that, you're realizing, holy crap, this distribution of wealth is now being only select to those few at the top. And so even like what you say with GDP, you're right on with that. With the stock market, people talk about, oh, the stock market crashed, but does that apply to the majority of Americans? No, because the majority of Americans haven't even bought a share because they don't have the finances and money to. 30 years ago, companies used to give pensions to their employees. So you had three legs of you had your own savings that you saved, you had pensions, your company pensions, and then you also had Social Security. But when they took away the pensions, they had said, oh, we'll bring it back in some other way or whatever, but nothing happened. So now we have two legs on which for the people to stand, but with Social Security ever diminishing, now you've got one. And then, I mean, I could have done it the other way and stuck my
You
middle
should
finger
have
up,
done it the other way. You absolutely should have done it the
okay,
other way and
so,
put that middle finger
then,
right up to
yeah,
every
so
one of the people in Washington.
okay, so then, yeah, so let's do it again. So when you take the pensions away, then you have two legs that are left, which are our savings and our Social Security. But then when our Social Security is diminishing, what do you have left? It's just your savings. So with your savings, what the fuck? We don't have savings. In this time where 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and they don't even have the money to fix a car, they're afraid that something's not going to work because then they have to pay extra money to fix that and make repairs. Like, what savings do we have? And so we've actually come into a time like COVID-19, unfortunately, that it happened has brought us to this realization of, oh shit, we need to take care of our people. And they're still not taking care of the people, Russell. I mean, it's been 3 weeks since some sort of relief package has been passed around that time frame. Nobody has gotten their one-time $1,200 check. Nobody has gotten their unemployment benefits. There's been no relief of any kind, yet Congress is on a recess. What the F, right? And so this really shows us and exposes all the areas of inefficiencies and stuff where we've just messed up entirely as a country, a government, and a system. So it shows us how we need to fix and how we need to be better prepared so that when national crises like this ever happen again, we can sail through that. And the only way to sail through these types of crises and let's say the worst case scenario and off the grid scenario is if we're already prioritizing our people and taking care of them. So for me, universal basic income that's direct deposited into a federal bank account to which any of us can access at any time for those limited means. And so if we had that already in place, we wouldn't even have to wait 3 weeks, 4 months. Some people with their $1,200 one-time check, they won't be getting it until September if they don't have direct deposit enrolled. So but without doing that, if Americans are easily able to get their cash in times of relief or be able to save, that's for one. Number two, universal health care. If we have a universal healthcare system in place with free access to everyone at all levels, where we're not prioritizing one group over the other, we would be able to have and streamline everything and be so efficient with our costs. I mean, Korea, they have a public option type of system. Even there, it's closer to that universal healthcare system where they're able to be more efficient. They're able to pump out test kits like that and be able to distribute them and make them accessible to all peoples. Number three, if we're able to have a system in place that is able to prepare where, like, obviously right now, all of the non-essential jobs, they've all been laid off. What are we going to do for their sustenance? And so if we're already creating a Green New Deal type of infrastructure and sustainable workforce economy where people can continue to work even in these times, then why aren't we doing that? And so there's various ways that we can start addressing and start tackling the issue. But firstly, right now, what our politicians really need to do on a national level is put a rent freeze and mortgage suspension in place, because that's how we give life to our people. And that's how we say, you know what? We really do care about you. This one time $1,200 check, we admit it's an ego move. It's for us to feel better. It's for us to make you stay quiet, and it's our bad. We're gonna resume our sessions. We're no longer in recess, and we're gonna help the people. And that's what the reaction and response should be right now. Sorry, I got all riled up.
It's okay, and I know you're probably entirely too busy to check out our channel, but I'm telling you what's the truth, man. I get on. We call them Russell's rants, and I get so passionate when I'm talking about it, because and this is a big reason why in 2022 I'm running against Representative Peter West here in Vermont, because I am not a politician type. I am not an attorney. I am not. If you put those bills in front of my face, I'd probably have to have somebody interpret them for me. But the fact of the matter is, I'm so pissed off at the ineptness that I see in Washington, the ridiculous nature of everybody up there working for the corporation instead of the American people, and it pisses me off. And it makes me so angry that I've decided to run, because somebody's got to. Somebody's got to. Because let me tell you something. When they come and they say we got a bipartisan deal and we're passing it unanimously, you better be afraid. You better be scared. That should set off alarm bells.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you're right. It's not something that, I think it's become so serious to the point that if we actually don't shape up in the next 5-10 years, I hate to say this, but we're doomed. Like, if we lose the sense and touch of humanity and caring for all of us as one race, as one kind, we've lost it. We're set for destruction. And so I think what you nailed it. I think a lot of people kind of were saying, oh, if I were in that Congress, how would I have voted? Would I have voted unanimously just as Congress did, or would I have voted against it? And I know that the majority of answers seems to be, oh, I don't want to stop really from going to people. But it's in the sense of, to what point are we going to continue to compromise and succumb to the corporate interests that are at play? And so we need people running as down ballot candidates like yourself, like myself, those who are watching. Like, if you're thinking, this is great, David can do it, Russell can do it, that's fine. Well, no, it's not fine. You that are watching this message, go run for office. Go gather their signatures and go onto the ballot, because we need people like you who know what it's like, who know what the daily hustle and grind of life is like, to make ends meet, to wake up each day thinking, oh, do I have enough money for next month's rent? Do I have enough money for food for next week? Like, these questions and like these concerns are nowhere near the political bubbles that we have in DC, because these politicians are career politicians. They've been doing their jobs for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. They'll continue to do it until somebody beats them, which is most likely not going to happen, because they have corporate donors that are able to fund and fund and fund their elections, so that our elections have become a popularity contest, not because of the person himself or herself or because of the campaign. It's because now our elections have become a system where you elect whoever spends the most money and whoever's able to raise the most corporate money. So even in our race, our opponent, the incumbent. So just to give you background for those who are watching, I placed second out of 5 candidates in our California primary election last month. So we were able to advance to the November 3rd general election. So we'll be going against the incumbent one-on-one. And the incumbent has a war chest of $800,000, 98.8% of which are from big banks, pharmaceutical companies, healthcare companies, developers, oil companies. And then when you look at ours, we raised 37,000 and now only have 1,000 cash on hand because we had to use it for our primary cycle. And now we're in the means of re-raising those funds again. But it's in the fact that we're not being dissuaded at all or being discouraged at all in our race, because we really feel that as long as we continue to push out the message, as long as we're trying to expand our reach, not in a numbers game wise, but in a vision casting wise, and are able to enroll people into our movement and in our vision, we're able to do that. So for us to win, Russell, um, the incumbent won only 52% of the total vote. So for an incumbent, that's actually really low number, because incumbents should be winning anywhere from 60 to 80% of the vote. So when our incumbent is only winning a total of 52% of the votes, and the second place candidate, the third place candidate, the fourth place candidate, and the fifth place candidate amassed a voting percentage of a total of 48%, that means we actually do have a chance. And so the third place candidate, Frances Yasmin Modawala, amazing woman, amazing leader. We've become really good friends. She just publicly endorsed us on Facebook today. Fourth place candidate, Joanne Wright, Republican, she sent out an email blast a few weeks ago endorsing us. Kiana K. Scott, she said, David, let me know how to help you. I am supporting your campaign. Because all of us know that something's not right. In the previous election, our constituents also knew that something wasn't right, because I was actually helping out on a previous congressional campaign against the same congressman. And my friend that I was helping out, his name is Kenneth Mejia. He was running as a Green Party member. And in our district, there's only 0.8% registered as green, but my friend ended up winning a total 28% of the vote. That means 27% of or so of voters wanted to vote for not their party candidate, but for Kenneth Mejia, the Green Party. So the reason why we're running, Russell, is because I tried to convince Kenneth to run as Dem. He wouldn't do it. And I said, you know what? Somebody has to run. So we threw our hat in the race and we're running. And so we're going full force at it. But get this, Russell. Our campaign, obviously during COVID-19, nobody has money. And so given that we live in the 10th poorest district, we're not asking any of our constituents to donate and support our campaign. But for those of you who are watching, if you're able to, please do, please support. But what I wanted to say though is, because people are financially suffering, we're actually focusing on community building efforts, whether that be highlighting local businesses that are struggling, whose sales have decreased by 80-90%, who are now not able to pay rent, take care of their own children because they're local family business owners, or participating in rent strikes. I've been in a lot of car protests these days, because that's the creative way to do protests now with social distancing. You drive in your car around the protest area. And then finding other ways to do community building. So to do that, Russell, we've done Facebook live streams to connect with our constituents, let them know what these different stimulus packages mean. We've had Instagram AMAs where anybody's allowed to ask questions about how to file for unemployment, how to get assistance at a small business, where to get aid as an independent contractor. We've done these different episodes. We've done text banking campaigns to check in on our constituents and see what questions do you have? I know this is a hard time. How can we help you? And so we've been doing that. But get this, Russell, after we started doing that, the incumbent also started doing that. The incumbent has never had a single live stream town hall during his past 3 years. He's always done telephone town halls like once a year. After, I guess, somebody on their team is watching us closely and monitoring us, because after we did our Facebook live stream, a week later, he did a Facebook live stream. After we did our Instagram AMA live stream this past weekend, he just did one last night. And then he started blocking people when they started asking him tough questions of, oh, why do you accept money from corporate donors? And then he blocked that user. Another person asked, why are you funding the military industrial complex? He blocked that user. And these public officials, they're not even aware that they're not supposed to be blocking their constituents, because then that impedes the free speech that needs to happen and is going on. And then today, Russell, so I told you we started on our text banking campaign of checking in on constituents. Today, I got 2 text messages from our current congressman checking in to see how I was doing. So I guess they're starting their text banking campaign as well. So whatever we're doing, the current congressman is copying and watching us eye to eye. But I mean, I'm glad the fact that he actually notices, oh shit, I haven't been caring about the people and my opponent is. Maybe I'll start doing what he's doing. I mean, at least that's getting him somewhere. and hopefully this will move the marker closer. But our goal and intent is to end up in DC, because we can't wait and afford another 2 years to watch our congressmen, to watch our federal reps do nothing. So that's my rant.
You know, I'm from the country, and I don't know if you can tell that or not, but we got a saying down where I'm from, and it's called "It ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun." And that's exactly what's happening out there in your race. See, he's starting to see that, hey, you know what? Maybe I might better start paying attention over here because this dude's coming up fast. Because, you know, and I believe that that goes back to something that you touched on, and it's this humanity first vision. And I feel like, you know, I came from the Republican side. You know, I'm a lifelong conservative. And when I heard
grew up
Yang talk,
Republican too.
you know, I heard him talk and I was like, wow, you know, finally somebody gets it. So finally somebody is talking to me down here on this bottom rung where everybody's struggling. Everybody I know is struggling. You know, there used to be when I was growing up, man, you know, it was a really cool thing come Christmas time because everybody got everybody presents and there was always these presents. And as I grew up and I've seen the way the economy has gone, now you see families at Christmas time, it's like, oh, well, we're just buying for the kids. Or, you know, well, we can't afford to get Christmas presents. I mean, that's a shame to see where I mean, it's such a trivial marker, but it's such an indicator of where we've come as a society because the economy has lost that focus on the people. And I believe that you are right. We're at a crossroads right now in this country, and we're either gonna move human consciousness forward and elevate it to where we do go that Star Trek route where, you know, we have a more benevolent society and where everybody, you know, realizes that, you know what, it's not America, it's not Russia. We're one race. We're the human race.
Yeah.
The human race. There's no separation. There's no distinction. Who the fuck cares what color you are, what you believe?
Yeah.
I don't care. I realize that we're all one race. And I feel like that's the way that we have to try to push human consciousness in that direction as opposed to the Mad Max direction, which I believe that the people in power are pushing us that way. Because if they weren't, if they really cared about the American people, would they have passed the stimulus bills that they passed so far? Would they have?
No.
Would they have seriously? Do you know what that $1,200 gets me? Jack shit. It barely pays my rent, and that's when I get it. But in between now and then, I've got the landlord calling me because it's already time for rent, and I haven't seen anything. I can't file for unemployment right now because on the Vermont website, it's not set up for people like me. There's no place that I can file for unemployment right now. I am an independent content creator, and it is wrecking us, you know, independent media. And I don't, it's just, we have to do something to turn it around. And I believe that Andrew Yang helped change that narrative, you know, and tell me about the impact that he had on you personally.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think kind of what happened was, I do have to give credit to the various individuals that started that flame in me. So kind of initially starting with Kenneth Mejia, the local candidate who had run for the same position that I'm running for now 2 years ago. He started that flame in me where it was like, oh my gosh, like we actually need people who would never run for office right now because the times are getting very serious and tough. And then I saw AOC, and then I saw Marianne Williamson, and then Andrew Yang. I was like, I still remember because I had discovered him actually before the whole Joe Rogan podcast explosion in that sense, or the surge. And I was very intrigued because I was like, oh my gosh, $1,000 a month, really? And then that's what took me down the rabbit hole of doing and when I do research, I go all the way down. And that's when I was like, holy shit, like universal basic income is not a new concept at all. It's been around, it's been implemented and tested in different parts of the world already. It's already happening in one of our U.S. states, Alaska. One of our, a lot of our ancestors and forefathers were advocating for it. With Thomas Paine, who didn't believe in land ownership, who believed that everybody over the age of 18 should be provided some sort of land guarantee income, into which taxes would be paid into a land endowment fund, and from there the basic income would be distributed. With MLK, right before he was assassinated, when he was on his last book speaking tour with where do we go from here, and he talks about how we need to eradicate poverty and do it directly, and one way to do that is to provide a basic income where we're lifting our people out of it. And so when I saw Andrew Yang putting that onto the national conversation and on the radar, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, this is probably got to be one of the most human direct policies and issues ever, because you're giving cash directly into the hands of our people. You're bypassing all the mumbo jumbo games that our government plays and all the bureaucracy and partisan politics, and you're giving it straight to the people. Why can't we do that? Why is that not a duh thing to do? And so when he had brought that up on his, when he went forward with that on his platform, it was like, oh my gosh, she actually needs a Congress to help pass this too. And Congress, people that are in Congress that are able to support him. So kind of with that, coupled with the fire that was lit in me by AOC, Kenneth, Marianne Williamson, Andrew sort of was that last thread where it was like, all right, I'm cutting your thread, David, and now you're going to run for office. And so, like, even with myself, I mean, what is it now? April, our website was launched the first week of October. We started very late into the campaign. 10 months ago, I wouldn't even have known that I was running for office. But here I am now, where at the beginning of our general cycle, we are going up against a corporately funded incumbent who is an establishment Democrat, who is using his congressional money in terms of doing quasi-campaign efforts, which is also illegal. So now not only does he have his campaign funds, he's also using his congressional budget as a quasi-campaign effort, instead of really being that as an effort for the people. And so, I mean, we're up against a lot of odds, Russell, but I think what you say is what is true is if we're able to kind of band together and really recognize, holy crap, we as a collective group of people, not just me individually, but masses of our people are being wronged right now. And we're able to realize that on a deeper level and find that in and of ourselves, the self-compassion. And this is where we talk about self-compassion. Self-compassion can consist of self-pampering, which is needed at some times, but self-compassion in a greater context is, am I giving myself compassion? Am I giving others compassion? And what that means is everything has to show forth in an action. So if I'm really caring about myself, I need to stand up for myself and stand up for my rights. If I'm caring about other people, I need to stand up for other people's rights as too. And so it's this larger application and practice of self-compassion that all of us really need to step into, and we get to step into and realize. And so I feel like this whole election cycle with the presidential process, it's been a wake up. Slowly people are waking up and they're realizing, oh, that's a cage. This is a cage I'm in. Oh, that's a door. Oh, I've been in this cage all this long. And so people are walking out of their cage, even with Andrew Yang suspending, with Bernie suspending, with various individuals suspending. It's not, this is the end of the movement. No, it's the beginning of multiple movements that are about to come. So DC better watch out, because all of these great leaders, Andrew Yang, Bernie, everyone, they've ignited things in us that nobody can quench. And that's for us to keep on burning. And so having people like you be on this podcast, inviting people like me, sharing your vision, and then you also running for office, this is how we do it. This is how we build America together. Yes, it'll take some time, but this is how we do it collectively all together. So,
you know, somebody once said that if Andrew was going to change anything, that he was going to have to go away from Washington and build a wave and bring it crashing down on their heads. And brother, I think that you just spoke so eloquently to that point. I mean, I almost don't want, I mean, man, that you said right there was so beautiful. So beautiful. We are the wave that Andrew was supposed to bring. and it's only getting stronger, and it's only building and gaining in momentum in this country. And people that say, you know, $1,000 a month doesn't really help you, they've number one never been broke. Because $1,000 a month
exactly
goes a long way.
exactly yeah
That takes the strain off of you. And you know, that would be a tremendous help to homeless people. You want to eliminate homeless people, start giving them $1,000 a month. Because here's the thing, homeless people have a hard time right now being able to take a shower, get to a job, being able to eat, let alone do anything else. You know, they're so focused on basic survival things that they can't see past that. So when we put resources directly into their hands, are some people going to screw it up? Yes. Some people are going to. People are people. Some people have addictions. Some people have mental issues, whatever the case may be. But by and large, most people are going to instantly seek help. They're instantly going to start bettering their lives, because now they're like, whoa, now I actually got a chance. Now I actually have a path forward. Now maybe I can actually do something. And I think that this is going to be so important that we do get this passed. And oddly enough, I've seen more support from it on the Republican side than I have the Democratic side, which is kind of weird for me, because I thought, you know, the Democrat Party was supposed to be the party of the people, you know.
Right.
But I don't see that. You know, I came from the Republican side, and now that I'm over here as a Democrat, I'm looking around and I'm like, damn, shit is fucked up over here. You know?
I think you nailed it right there. Shit is fucked up in here. And like I am not, when you get to know me and our campaign, we're really not about, oh, we're Democrats. We're not that. It's more, dude, our fucking people are hurting right now. They're bleeding, and you're not doing fucking anything about helping that. And so I think that's what we're really about. I mean, like you, I grew up Republican. My parents are still Republican. I mean, and for me, it's like, I think it's more, what do we do in order to take back the power as the people right now? How do we start change? We start change within the parties. We start change within the system. We start change within our own mindset, changing the mindset of, oh, if I vote, nothing's going to happen. Oh, if I run, of course I'm going to lose. Oh, I can't, like, you're not qualified to, like, if we change this mindset and we're able to break through it, holy fuck, anything is possible. If we have the mindset of, you know what, if I vote and my vote makes a difference, then I'm going to do it. If I run and that will inspire others to run as well and start to bring positive change, then I'm going to do it. And if each of us are able to have that for ourselves and continue to spread that, that's where we can see it. And that's where Andrew Yang and other people have activated that in their supporters. And that's what's beautiful to see from this past presidential cycle, despite how it may have ended in terms of the campaign season. So,
David, I know that we said 30 minutes, and we're a little bit over that right now.
Got it.
It has been such an honor. I didn't even get half an end of what I wanted to talk to you about, man. The conversation just kind of took on a life of its own, and I think that's awesome. There's so many things that I wanted to ask you, and so many things that I wanted to dig into. So I'm going to leave it with questions for you personally on two pardons, right? On your opinion on two pardons, and a closing message from you to the Yang Gang. So the first one is, what is your stance on Julian Assange?
Julian Assange should be freed. There's I mean, there's it's just human rights violations all in every area. So that's my first answer to that question, and we can have a separate talk on that. But it just doesn't make sense that somebody who's trying to inform the American people of what's going on and actually trying to help the people is now being labeled a traitor and somebody who's so dangerous and is a criminal.
I absolutely 1,000,000,000% agree with you. Okay, now in order to get the Grassroots Yang Gang official endorsement for you as a candidate, not that that means anything, but in order to get our endorsement,
Oh, for sure.
we have one more question for you on a pardon. Should Donald Trump pardon Joe Exotic? Joe Exotic.
Should Donald Trump pardon
Joe Exotic.
Joe, are we talking about Tiger King?
We are talking about the Tiger King, yes.
I have not kept myself in that loop of news, but if you could give me background and then I'll answer that question.
Okay, so it's going to be hard to do. Okay, so apparently Joe Exotic got arrested and he's serving 22 years in prison for plotting to kill Carol fucking Baskin, who is the lady who's the antagonist in this whole thing. And ain't none of them, honestly, very nice people. But if you have not watched Tiger King, and we'll just leave it at that, I won't get your answer on that. Right. Yeah, I want you to see the show.
Yeah, to be honest, No, I was sorry to cut you off. To be honest, I was just gonna say I haven't actually watched kind of Tiger King, so I don't think that would give me the full breadth of base to be able to answer your question. But I will definitely look into watching Tiger King. I've just been so busy with campaign.
Well, I understand that, David, but here's the thing. Now, your constituents are watching the Tiger King, and they know what's going on in the Tiger King. So you damn well better brush up on it.
I will watch it. I will watch it. Yes, I will watch it.
Awesome. David, I want to ask you for some closing words. If you could tell the Yang Gang anything, the Yang Gang it's a lot of us have gone back to camps that are other camps. We all came from somewhere else when we joined Andrew Yang, the Yang Gang. But if you could tell the Yang Gang one thing, what would it be?
Yang Gang, I am so honored to know you, to be a part of the whole movement, to be able to connect with the same vision, same heart that we have for humanity. And I just want you to know that this is only the beginning, that in each of you, there's tsunamis that are about to come forth from within each of you, and that each of you are world changers in all of your own different ways, with all of the talents and skills and heart that you have. And so whether it be locally in your community or whether it be on a state level or nationally, there's so many opportunities for you to do in terms of helping and making and bringing change, whether that be helping out down ballot candidates like myself. If you want to help, go ahead, volunteer, sign up to volunteer on davidkim2020.com. But please do something. Please be proactive. Don't let that fire just be in your heart and die out, because in order to fan a flame, you need to continue feeding it wood and that energy. And that's what it is. It's doing good, because the more good that we do, the more good that we do. It just continues in a cycle. And that's really what humanity is all about. That's why we were born into this world, to fully experience life and to enjoy it with each other. But if we're toiling like ants and slaves every single day of our lives till the day that we die, what kind of life is that? That's not a life that we've come to here to experience in abundance and with each other. So with that vision in mind, please don't give hope. Please continue to fight for what you believe is really true and needed for our people from your heart.
David,
thanks, Russell.
Thank you so much for being here. And you know what, Tiger King or not, this channel definitely endorses you as a candidate. Your vision for humanity is so beautiful, and I think that you've expressed things in a way that people can really get behind and can really understand, this vision that we're all together and that we're all one people. And now more than ever that we need to come together and be one people. So David, I want to thank you and ask you and extend an invitation for you to come back on the show, because I think that your message is so important, and I loved having you on here. Thank you, brother.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Russell. Thank you for having me. I would love to come on again. Let us know.
Awesome. And we have it, Yang Gang. He has officially committed to watching the Tiger King.
Yes, I will watch it.
Yang Gang, we love you. We'll see you on the next one.